What's going on, YouTube? Let's get into the theory of Pyrrhic victories in war, because you got to understand the theory of a Pyrrhic victory basically means you won the battle, but you lost the war. But more importantly, what does that mean? It basically means that you have had something on paper that your objectives were met, but the objectives are not necessarily the efficient use of resources in accordance with the art of war that will win the conflict. Because you got to understand the efficient use of resources, breaching the defenses, and all these things are crucial in the art of war. Like you watch a Bruce Lee fight, you watch how Bruce Lee just takes apart his opponents, and they don't know what to do or anything. And so when we say this, I oftentimes get into this dilemma when people look at this. If you have objectives with your military, they have to be successful objectives that will successfully give you a political solution so that you can win in the long run. And if you go out there and misuse your resources, but you say, well, I killed more of the enemy than I killed myself in a battle, well, that's not a good assumption or assessment, because you assume that you're taking a bite out of the enemy when you may be using more resources than the enemy is. You got to remember that a smaller army can take out a larger one if they're outclassed or outgunned. And you got to understand all these factors here. So basically, when it comes to the whole picture of the Pyrrhic victory, it's like in Pearl Harbor, they thought, well, we're going to cripple their fleet with brute force. And now brute force does not win a war. You got to understand brute force is just showing off, and, hard hitting with a sledgehammer is not going to do it. You're going to have the Sun Tzu factor of attacking from higher places, and more importantly, having the art of war in your favor, where you have leverage and you have the momentum. And the momentum's crucial, because a guy takes a lot of person's pieces off a chessboard, but the other person has a better strategy and can completely thwart his defenses and everything, and it becomes irrelevant if he took a bunch of pieces because he wasn't able to recruit the board in his favor and own it. The board belonged to the other guy because the other guy used whatever he had left to basically breach the defenses, and more importantly, he was heavily guarded. And that's the other thing of striking what's weak. And a person can take a heavily fortified target, and then they spend all this energy just taking down the target. So you got to understand the art of war. You look at the Normandy invasion. We lost 20,000 men on a beach in Omaha in France. But you'd think it's heavily guarded. Why did we do this? It was because they put inflatables behind the beach a few miles away to outsmart Rommel's troops to get them to go over that location so we could get in there. And then once we did, basically when we breached the beach, there was nobody behind really to stop us for a while. So it became this issue with the art of war. And you got to understand the art of war has to be followed when you use the military. And military against political solutions over military solutions will make less effective results, because if you're going into a country where there's a lot of animosity and stuff, it's going to be very difficult to use the military and be able to get leverage. So you understand that you have to use intelligence and a lot of other forces in order to get the situation to work. So I hope this review helps with the art of war. And, I'm basically looking at situations where people had clear-cut victories, but they wasted their resources, and then they lived in their own world. And because they lived in their own world, you understand they didn't see the big picture with the war and what was really going on, because they wanted their objectives and their little battles and focused more on the brute force aspects, which are often the mistakes people make.